The metric system is an easy-to-use measurement system that makes conversions simple. I believe that it would be beneficial to the United States of America if we switch from the imperial measurement system to the metric system. This change would make everyone's life simpler and would improve communications dramatically. By switching to the metric system, this is our most logical choice and would benefit the United States. We can see the success of switching from all of the other countries who have already switched. The United States of America is one of the only 3 countries left, which are shown in red, that are still not using the metric system. All of the other countries are using the metric system. Since all of the other ones that have switched are still continuing to do well, and we can see the success of the metric system in these countries. Now the only thing left is for us to switch so we can unite and communicate better with these countries. People that move from all of these other countries have a hard time getting a feel for the imperial system when they move here. For example, my girlfriend, who lived most of her life in England, when she moved here was unable to estimate distance in feet because she was so used to meters. If we were all converted to the same system, this transition would be a breeze. The question is, what is the cost? This is probably the biggest argument facing not switching. And it does hold some value because there is quite a bit of money that would have to be put into it. We would have to invest in switching all of the road signs and speedometers and everything of this sort. And the government would also have to put laws in place that would cause people producing these items to start producing them with the metric system. But by switching now, we will save more money in the future because the cost of switching only goes up as the years progress. Another point against this is also that the metric system is already taught in a lot of schools. The only change in education that it would have to be is it would have to be enforced that it's taught at all schools. Aside from the cost factor, the metric system is simple to keep track of. The metric system is a lot easier to teach people and is a lot easier to remember. By switching to the metric system, people would have a lot easier time learning and remembering the conversions. In the English system, in order to convert any measurement to a different form, you must know the conversion ratio. This requires a lot of time and energy to remember all of these numbers. And these numbers aren't easy to remember. For instance, these are the conversion ratios for the length measurements in the imperial system. 1 mile is equal to 1,760 yards. That's just not a number that you can easily remember off the top of your head. It takes some time to learn it. And you don't see a pattern in the measurements either. It goes from 1,760 yards in 1 mile to 3 feet in a yard and 12 inches in a foot. They seem very random, which makes it harder to remember them. In the metric system, it's merely one scale for all measurements, and the scale increases in increments of 10. This makes it a lot easier to convert because you merely have to move over the decimal place, one place for each time you change the measurement. This system would be a lot easier to teach people. For instance, if I wanted to change 1 meter into kilometers, I would merely have to move the decimal place over 3 places. By switching to the metric system, it is also a lot easier to visualize. The imperial system is a lot harder to visualize because the definitions of the imperial measurements are defined using the metric system. An example of this is 1 foot is defined as 0.3048 meters. This means in order to know how big a foot is, you must first know how big a meter is. The metric system is a lot easier to visualize because it's all in increments of 10. So you merely need to be able to visualize a meter, and then the rest will come easy. The simplicity of the metric system is also expressed further in the huge range of measurements covered in this system. The metric system has one scale that encompasses all types of measurements. The imperial system has multiple scales. For instance, this one, and this one. That's three different scales all with different ratios. This again makes it very hard to keep track of, and also doesn't help with consistency. For instance, it is very easy to confuse a tablespoon with a teaspoon because their abbreviations are merely one letter apart. This has caused many problems in the United States today, in that when giving medicine to a child, a parent misreads the label, and instead of giving them 2 teaspoons, they give them 2 tablespoons, which is obviously a lot bigger. This causes them to have to take their child to the ER and causes the child to get even more sick. By switching to the metric system, it would erase this problem because we wouldn't have because milliliters, it would all be in milliliters, and so we wouldn't have to worry about the tablespoon and teaspoon being confused. The metric system is a lot easier to visualize because all of the increments are in 10. So we wouldn't have the problem with the tablespoons. The metric system combines all three of these, the volume, the weight or mass, and length, into one scale, which is the increments of 10 scale. The only difference is they use liters for volume, meters for distance, and grams for mass. But these all fall under the same scale. So you can convert grams to kilograms, meters to kilometers, and liters to kiloliters. And it's all the same 10 increment scale. The broad range of measurements covered supports the switch even more. The simplicity and global acceptance of the metric system makes this a clear choice for the United States. This switch needs to happen soon and quickly in order to have a cost-effective, smooth transition. Otherwise, this transition will swoop in by force. Thank you.